Hi, everybody. We're live. I'm sorry about moving the time of the show, but um, I actually have things I do really like to see, and one of them fell right in the middle of when I would be live with you, and I can't do both. Really found out I can't do both. I set up my StreamYard, then went over to watch the show, and found out my cameras wouldn't work until I closed StreamYard down. Then it would let me do it, but anyway, the confusing things that happen to us. The good news for us today is that we have 12 really interesting questions about past lives, and I'm going to run through those. And if I have time at the end, I'll try to pick up ones from uh, the chat. Um, I saw there's something at the top where someone said they weren't getting notices about my uh, meetings again. Lise said she couldn't find the community category like before. Um, I don't know. I know iPhones do some strange things to StreamYard and to notifying people about meetings, but I try to do my best through YouTube to let you know. And I try not to move them too much. I try to make them 1 o'clock just because it's easier for me too. So we're gonna see what's anybody got anything. Hi, Vicky. Glad to see you're up and about. And let's see. Just a lot of people saying hi to each other. And I am feeling massively better. I cannot tell you how one tiny little infection can take your whole body and go, and you going nowhere. Um, but I really am feeling up and about, and my chest cold kind of thing went away. We figured out that my asthma was not reemerging, um, but that I'm reacting to the ozone. The ozone has gotten, because we had COVID for a while and no one was out driving around, the ozone got so much better in Dallas. And now everybody's out driving around again. And it's back for me with a vengeance. But I have the meds to take care of it so I can keep, as long as I can breathe, I can talk. And that's kind of what I have to do. Um, I'll start, if people want readings, I'll start them, but I've got 12 to go through. And so we may as well start. We're at 34 people watching. That's pretty good for a start. And this is my first question. And I do not know how to say her last name. She's from Sweden. So I'm not even going to take a try at it, but I would love to hear about a past life that affects my present. Thank you so much. And we're going to go to the table now. So you won't get to see my shining face for a minute. We go do. Okay, here we go. We're on the table. Now there's, for those of you who've seen past lives before, um, there's a couple ways I can do it. I can do it with the Oracle Garden, which I did not invent. I know I'm supposed to have invented all the Oracle Gardens, but this is actually invented by the woman who designed my garden. That's why they look a lot alike. But what she did is when I was first doing past lives 2 years ago, she watched several of them, and she took the various words that would come out about goes on in our life, and in past life readings, and she put the zodiac signs around, and occasionally that does help. This chain is long enough, it will swing out to the zodiac signs if it wants me to see that. Um, so for her, since she's asking about a past life that affects her life right now, I'm going to do the Spirit 7, which is a reading where 3 of the cards on the outside represent your life now, 3 represent the life you had, and this card in the middle tells how close you are to reconciling between the two. And when I do long past life readings, what you guys are getting just a quick overview, but when I do long past life readings, I use this reading to start. I can use the garden to pin down dates and times and things, and then I have another deck of cards where I laid a 4x4 and I go into depth into the past life so you can see it. So, okay. Okay. And okay. These three cards, the ones my hands are on, this point, this point, this point, they represent the life you had that's affecting you right now. These show you in this life and what they've taught you how to do. What the original three, and this shows how far you are. And to my wonderful Swedish friend, you had an incredibly comfortable life. You lived everything, you did everything by the rules, you followed all the patterns, but there were parts of the pattern of the society you were in. And I see you in medieval Southern Europe, not up where you live now, but um, and you were very bound and tied by rules. I think the Hierophant actually means Pope in Greek, and this I think the image I'm getting in my mind about this is you're very very tied to the Catholic Church, and but you had a strong spirit towards not paganism, but to understanding there was a broader nature to life, and you never resolved that in that life. So one of the things you've come into this life, the Ten of Swords here means you want to break from this pattern. I think you've been around and around with this pattern several times. Um, and you were female in this life. And I think you had spiritual gifts that were being ignored, and you could never figure out how to tie the comfort and the things and what you understood, the abundance in the world, and the strictures of the church. So you lived in a very confined, very limited. You felt like your life got limited because of that. So, what are we doing now? Well, you came in this life, and the life contract you've written for yourself this time is to break down all those barriers, to not go there anymore, to be allowed to invest and plant the crops and see the world the way you want to, and to move on despite whatever obstacles happen to be in your way. And I think recently you've come to a lot of understanding about that. But all the messages you need about incorporating this newfound freedom, this freedom to have the spiritual beliefs you have, are not yet complete. But let me see this. You get a lot of mixed messages about it. You need to trust yourself a little more. Okay. Yeah, you're making the breakthrough right now about this. You're going to have all the abundance that she was promised, a whole new way of seeing things. But the word of warning to you is to not go overboard, not say, I've seen the light, now you have to come see the light with me. You need to understand that what you're learning about yourself and how you're learning to heal and how you're learning to connect to the universe, most importantly, and how to grow, that's very much your journey. So this is your word of warning. This is, you can become a little OCD about it and to not over preach it, but you are on such, just we're gonna assume you're not going to do that. Um, you know what assumptions are. What assume means ask of you and me, but we're going to try, and we're going to say that you are on your way. I would say by the end of this summer that you're going to feel much more clearly this old. You're going to feel her path and the abundance she had and what she knew, and you're going to understand you don't have to live by everybody else's rules to get there. That's for you, Karen. Now, oops. Okay, and hide. Okay, the next question's from Miranda. And what am I working through from my past life? I have lots of emotional ups and downs lately. Thank you for your gifts. It's truly amazing. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, I just, I wish I could say that I sat around like and meditated all day and came up with all this great stuff, but the universe has very kindly kind of handed it to me. So I think we're going to end up using the garden for your question, Miranda. And every time I do this, I have to switch cameras, so that's a little bit of a pain in the butt. But I used to use my phone for the second camera over here, and it could be on all the time. But that did bad things to my phone. So we're gonna go. Okay. Now, when you start out using the garden, Miranda, we're going to figure out if you were male or female. Female. And can you give me an idea? Did she live to be, did she die young or die old, or what did she do? You died when you were younger in that life. Okay, we're going to throw the stones in the garden. And these stones are clear quartz for clarity, citrine for abundance and understanding. And then we have the two ancestor stones. This is a piece of um, amber, which is tree resin that hardens. And this is a piece of petrified wood from redwood. And if you can get to see it, you can actually see the grain of the wood in it. And the reason I use the ancestor stones is because we're talking about where we were before. Okay, what can the stones tell me about? Oh, okay. That's what I found. Okay, you were a Libra. You were very fair and honest. I think you have some of that has been brought forward into this life, but you want some real clarity about this past life. You let your elders run your life in this life, and you didn't live very long. I don't know. And I think there may have been things happen to you when you got to a certain age. You started to feel liberated because you made it past that age. If you think back in your thoughts, you might come up with what that would be. And then let me see. And I'm gonna throw one more throw in there to see how that goes. Tell me about Miranda's past life. Still in the frame. You got a lot of clarity in your youth this time, and in this life, you are breaking the cycle of being. I think there must have been a lot of fear that came in with you because you did die young. And in that life, if this is the overriding one that's on top of you now, got one more way to look. Because I'm afraid I'm not giving you a real clear picture. I know what your question is: who was I and how does that affect me? But it may have been, if this happened over a period of time, you may have been through several lifetimes where you've been fighting the same archetype, trying to get away from it. So transportation. Authority figures, the same thing's coming up. Uh, okay, this tells me a lot more. You were in Ireland, um, and I think you starved in the potato famine over there. And, for lack of transportation, for lack of anyone being able to help you. What's that one mean? Oh, okay. That you're being moved towards wisdom. Your transportation is taking you to wisdom, and you're coming out. If you meditate, you will meet her, and you will meet because that soul part of you was when you were writing the contract to come in this time. And I would say I'm going to swing the pendulum one more time because I have a feeling about how it's going to work out for her. What does she need to learn? What did she come back to learn? What did she come back to learn? Okay. You came back to, if it was going to emerging and embracing, you came back this time to embrace your life. I think you said you've been going through a lot of ups and downs. I think in past lives, once your downs started, they didn't go back up. So if you're having ups and downs, it's an improvement. You're moving in the right direction. Also, it makes it easier for me to read the questions when I can see them. I think right now, Miranda, you've gotten past an age you thought you'd never be. And so you're kind of standing there in wonderment, like, what do I do now? And you just need to relax and go with the flow and see if that helps you. I hope it does. Tammy. Okay. Okay, we're going to do the Spirit 7 on this one because of the way the question's worded. And I might go back to the garden, but we're going to do Spirit 7 first. Okay. Spirit 7. Oh, okay. In this, remember again, this is a past life and this is the life you're living right now. And in that life, you had a very happy marriage with someone. You lived in a time where things were very hard, but your partner made it easier to live through them. And you guys could never get a foot up. I mean, I really see peasant type stuff in this image. But you made it, and you remember a kind of happiness from that, a kind of security. I think you've had other lives where you had all the financial security in the world and none of the emotional security. This was a time of deep emotional security. And this time you're coming back in because you've got another Ace of Swords reversed. You want to move forward from the stress and strife. And the problem is you can't find a partner that was as good as that one as far as meeting your services. So you're sitting between a rock and a hard place. Let's see if that's going to be relieved. Yeah, I think by next winter, you're going to, if you are married to someone now, they're going to change. If you're not, you're going to meet someone new and you're going to get the happy family that you always wanted. And because the first card was the Ace of Pentacles, you're going to have the financial security. In this life, you're going to be able to put financial security along with emotional security. I think in a lot of your other lives, it's either been one or the other. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. So I'm going to leave it at that because I think that gives you enough to work with the question you asked me. And let's see. Who was I and how does it affect me now? Okay. If you've ever seen me do the longer reading, there's a way I can swing the pendulum over the garden and actually see, if I can't get a clear image of it, I can see the, I can work out what year by using the pendulum or what era you were in. And we're going to say that we're going to do this with the Spirit 7 again. And see if we get some indication, and then we may use the past life cards. I think I may have to, with what I'm already kind of seeing. That damn Ace of Swords ain't going anywhere, is it? Okay. Oh, you can't see it, and you're going, what's she talking about? Okay. You got the Ace of Swords as your end card. That's the end card for this life. But this is the life you lived before, and this is the life you live now. And what these cards indicate to me right now is you're still not where you need to be. You're still not settled where you need to be. But as far as the past life, you were very skilled at doing one thing, and you could have gone further with it, but you didn't choose to. I'm seeing that you're in China and you're a male in this life. He was very skilled at what he could do, but because of the stricture of society, he couldn't move. And so you very much just wanted to move out and get away from them all and be at the end of it. So in this life, you came in and This card reversed is kind of the opposite of this card. You decided that you've probably done a lot of different things and you're really good at all of them. I think you're channeling in a lot of past life stuff, but you got in the back of your mind somewhere, I'm not going to get stuck in one place like I did in this life by being too skilled at something and no one will let me go. Like a person who's so good at their job, they won't give them their promotions, and because they're afraid that everything will fall apart if they leave. So you find some person who carries the whole weight of the company on them and they're not getting near the resources. That's what happened to this guy. But his was he was culturally marked and could not move forward. In this case, you keep building new walls and protecting yourself and figuring out how to go on. You have not found the thing you need to do profoundly. And let's see if we can see what it is. Okay, you haven't found it because you haven't found the right people to be in the right boat with them. So that's led to is a series of bad judgments. And the Five of Swords, the way I read it, and I know it's different than everybody else, but when I see this card, I think you've had all these life experiences, but you haven't found the one you really want to polish up yet. So keep looking, girl, because it's there. The right, you need, it's not just your own self-will. You need to be with the right people. And if you get with the wrong people, you just feel like you're drifting and it's not going anywhere. But the frustration you feel in life when people try to pen you into one space is because you did really well in this life, but you couldn't move. And you just wanted done with it. And it was very destructive to your own sense of self. Let me see if I can. And I think you were in China, and I'm going to look real quick at that because I don't see China very often. Mostly because I have my own past life things that have to do with China are not particularly happy. I keep getting killed. At the end, I'm just trying to help people. And I end up being killed. Let's see. That's what I saw. Scribe or writer. And you had imprisonment and slavery. Yep. And it was biblical times. It means it was ancient times. It means this was China when China was just starting to be China. So I think I'm right on about that. I think you probably don't really want an office job. I think maybe thinking about becoming an accountant might make you nuts. But remember, when you have those feelings, you can ask yourself, is this me? Or and what did I just do? I threw myself out of the garden. Wait a minute. Okay. Sorry about that. You can, what you're looking at this life, anything that makes you feel trapped is or confined or not letting you grow, it's going to make you a bit nutty. And I don't know if that's true or not, Jeanette, but that's what I see. Next one's Karen. Okay, we're going to do her the same way. And it's not that I don't like the garden, but I have 12 questions I have to answer today. And I'm still learning how to switch all my cameras around. And trust me, I know it looks like anything but seamless, but okay. Let's see what we got. We got some other questions where people have been told things and they want to verify. Because if a psychic, and I've been around a ton of them, but if a psychic ever tells me something and it absolutely doesn't ring true, if I don't feel it in my heart, I don't pay attention to it. But I mean, like I had like no interest in Lemuria or Atlantis or anything. I heard way too many stories being spread at psychic fairs about that stuff. But when I met a person who dealt with the Akashic records, and I really liked the person, and it just struck me that what they were telling me was true. And I could see with how I'd worked things out. What they were telling me was true. That's how you can tell when a psychic's not BSing you, but they're telling you what they really see. And, you know, I'm just saying. So that'll be an interesting one. Okay, now we're doing Karen. Okay. Past life, this life. This life, you've done pretty well. You're a little hard on yourself. But in that life, I see you in, I think it may have been even like the Wild West. I see you with battlement at forts. I see there was just a lot of high stress around you all the time. But what made it helpful was you were with the right people. And so you could survive it quite handily. Um, and you brought that vibe into this life. So in this life, what you're doing is you came in feeling like, I can do this. I can do this. But you're really, really hard on yourself. So quit being so hard on yourself. You may not be a perfectionist every time, but do what you can do. And you're about to run into or you are right now working on polishing up the one true skill or the one true attribute you have in your life that you want to bring forward. And it hasn't all worked out for you yet. But the Knight of Wands means it's going to. Let's see what we got. Yeah, you're going to come out of the hangman position. You're going to open up to who you are. I think you've had a hard time dealing with your own emotions at times, but because the hangman's reversed, you're going to pull yourself out of that. And I think you're confronting some people. And like, remember in this life, the reason everything went well is because you were with like-minded folks. I think there's someone around you who plays into this being overly judgmental on yourself. So that's what's affecting you. You know how to succeed. You know how to do it well. You need to find the right people to be around you to do that. And that person, the King of Wands, may actually be a real physical person that's in your life now, or they could be some authority figure or some person you look up to and you think, oh, I can't do that. Or, they've said something around you that's made you feel less than adequate. Don't be around people that make you feel less than adequate, okay? You're ready to go. And let's see if we can see where you were. Yeah, authority figures. You got to think about them. And when they push your buttons, that's the uh, thing I saw you being so judgmental on yourself, and it just, your fears turn into real phobias. You need to break out, and that's what you've come in this life to break out of. And I think you're going to, because I think you're in the process right now of aligning your spirit up to where you would be most happy. And we gotta go. Okay. Get rid of Karen. Not get rid of Karen, but take her question off the board. And we go to Bridget G. And I was told by a couple of psychics that they saw in previous life that I've been a spiritual teacher, healer, and teacher. Can you tell me any more about this life and how it's affecting my current life? We're going to use the garden for this one. And okay. I'm going to do yes, no. And if it's yes, it's this way. If it's no, it swings this way. Oh, and I didn't change the cameras. I'll get this down, guys. Don't be discouraged. Okay. If it's yes, it swings this way. If it's no, it swings this way for me. That's just how my body works. Everybody needs to find their own yes, nos. And I'll do a show on pendulum soon and kind of explain how you do that. But we're going to see first if the psychics were right about her having been a spiritual healer. Yes. Okay. So in that life, was she male or female? I think you were female. Was it in the Middle Ages? Yes. Was she a Christian abbess? Yes. Okay. I just had a flash of you being in an abbey and run by women. And if you don't know about the Celtic Christians that were there before the Romans and finally joined with the Romans in the 1100s, women had enormous amounts of power before the Roman Church showed up. And I've read a whole lot of that Celtic part of the history because just some of my roots that go back to there too. And so I'm going to see about what was your life like growing up. This is the first question. And then what was it like for you as an adult growing up? Okay. Okay. Your clarity, your family was a very powerful family. And you're getting a lot of clarity from this past life. They helped you. They had their ancestral obligation was to help you get to be older and to release you from the burdens of a normal life. And you went into it, but as a child, you kind of got pushed into being in the nunnery and becoming a nun. But you used your power well, because like what I saw was a very powerful lady. So, what was your adult life like? Okay. You got a lot of clarity as you got older. You really liked it. You were happy to be a female. I think at some point you felt like, I think there's a part of you that would have liked to gone off and fought in the wars and been aggressive, but your family couldn't let you do that because Goyles didn't do that. Well, some did, but not much. Your ancestral stones showed that you began to adjust out of what it was like, and you were very rooted and happy in that life. So you really kind of enjoyed it. So, and she was a healer, and she was because I don't know how many of you know the history of kind of medieval Europe at that time. That hospitals were within the church. They were the ones who did the healing. And how does it affect this current life? I think you want to be a teacher and a healer, but I think you've been pushed by your own family to try and do other things, and you need to decide if that's the one you want to pursue. The strength that was in this woman, if that strength is in your soul, and I would have to believe it is, that you have all the abilities to do what she did, which was to rise up in a time when women weren't very influential, but you found a corner where you could be. We have a lot more opportunities now, which can actually make it kind of more confusing. Okay. Okay, MB. I know you're here. I saw you in the chat. I'm glad you're feeling better. Thank you. Thank you. I really am. I'm quite sure I was an African American slave in the mid 1800s in one of the Carolinas. Anything else you can tell me about that life and how to use it? Miriam, I don't know. Do you know that my main guide, who's been with me my whole life, her name is Addie, and she was a slave, and she was a slave in the first round of them bringing them over into the Carolinas. And she, when I've met her and we've talked, she told me that she chose to reincarnate in a human body at that point to come with her people, to be the person to help guide them into this new light. She knew that trauma was going to happen. And she said, for those of us who went through that and survived it and came out the other side, now she chose to be my guide. And when I told her, I had never really cared if I had a guide or not. And I didn't meet her till I was 69. And when I finally was in a meditation and met her, I said, are you kind of hacked at me because I never came looking for you? And she said, no, honey, it's fine. You did everything I told you to do. So she wasn't upset. She said that the people who went through the slavery experience became the people who would fight the hardest for the freedom of others. And I'm going to look for you right now and see what direction. I'm going to use the past life cards to see what direction that soul path has led you in. I did ask Addie if she'd ever met you. I mean, not that I know slave her out running around going to clubs and things, but she said no, you were a different era than her. She was there in the 1600s. So, okay. So we're going to go to the table, and you've been drawn towards communal living. Oh dear. And you have a thing about authority figures, but you came out of Egypt, and part of the reason you picked enslavement in that life is because you'd had a lot of slaves in Egypt, and you picked enslavement. You definitely like one of the carries overs. You definitely always like communal living and taking care of that kind of stuff for yourself. And I really think your main lesson from all this was it really put all your survival skills on the line, and you did it, and you did it very well. I also think you don't like people who try to own other people, period. But I think you weren't a field worker. You were in the house. You were working in the house. But it was just the idea that you could never have control of your own self was kind of difficult. And with that, we come back to, and that's how you can use it. I mean, we live in a time when, if those are some of the life experiences you've had that you carry in with your soul, to be unenslaved and to have the freedom to move and to help those who don't have the same freedoms. Okay. Kathy, hi, I've been told several times that I would be a leader in something. I still don't know, but my question is my past life getting in the way? I'm going to do this as a yes/no on the thing, because I don't think past lives get in our way. I think we get in the way of facilitating them. But let's hope my prejudice doesn't flow over onto your board, which I won't now block it, and it won't. Okay. Is her past life getting in the way of her accomplishing what she wants to do? It says yes. Okay. Well, okay. Why? There's several why questions I can get off this board. Oh, okay. It's going to soul family. You've decided to side with your soul family. Let's see if what was the past life like? You had a lot of unresolved issues with your ancestors, and you felt like you were totally controlled by destiny. You still have remembrance. There was a lot of loss in that past life, and you've carried that vibration into this life. So that's what I'm going to do. Is it a fear of loss that's motivating you to not move forward? Spirit of loss. Yes, you had a lot of loss in those lives, and that makes you, when you put yourself out there and you expressed yourself, you felt like you lost something. Now, you may have been in a time when there was a lot of loss, which if you were in a place, was she in a place of war? Was she in a place of war? I bet you turn off the news when they start to talk about Ukraine. I wouldn't blame you. Let's see. What question can I ask for you? I'm trying to think of. I'm thinking, guys. I'm thinking. Because I'm seeing something. Okay. Is it possible, if she meditates on this and comes to terms with it, that she can get out of dealing with it. Okay. That's what my guidance is going to have to be for you. Um, don't be scared. Your fear is pushing you away. It's Kathy G. Kathy G. In that past life, when I rolled those stones, I saw a horrible amount of loss, almost holocaustic type of loss, of family losing everything, all your roots. And you relate that to a period of time when you tried to go out and be the leader and you weren't, and you are back in this life. The first thing I got was soul family. You've come back into this life surrounded a lot by the same energy of those beings. Now, when you come back in with your soul family, your parents aren't your parents. Sometimes your parents could have been your spouse, they could have been your sibling, they could have been your aunt or uncle. I mean, it's all different ways that can work out. You are afraid something happened in that life. You put yourself forward. You were afraid. I mean, and it all fell apart, and you thought you were the cause of that. And I don't think you were. Um, okay, I heard a scientific thing. You correlate something because two things are going on at the same time. You can then say, is there causation? Can I test to see if there was causation? I'm telling you, there was no causation. You were just caught up in a really crappy time. And, they're just things that happen to us in those circumstances that we have no control over. So, um, your past life is not getting in the way. Your fear is getting in the way. And I hope that kind of helps. I think it should, because you were a strong person and you took a leadership role in a difficult time. Next question. Okay, are there any supportive things I need to know from my past life? Okay, I'll go and look at the table and see what it says. Okay. Um, we're going to see if you're a male or female. That always kind of helps me get a picture of who you are. Past life that can help her, male, female. You were male. Did she live to did that male live to a ripe old age? No, he kind of. No, let's see what we can see about his life. Um, okay, he lived in a time where there were ancient times. They kind of tried to limit your belief, and his family came from a place that was limited. He felt, because your clarity fell right in the middle, you thought the world was your oyster, you could get it. Um, you were held back by older relatives, and you had to seek your own release from that. So, what I think is that you have all the power within you to release and move on to whatever you want to live to. Okay, why didn't. Okay, let's see if I can pull 3 cards. See what your role was in that world. Because I got a real image of a young soldier, like a young out knights and horses and lances and swords and stuff. But I didn't see him in a fancy schmancy knight suit. I saw him just he may have wandered off and become a soldier of fortune. That sort of makes sense with the image I had. What can you tell me? Okay, this card apparently wants to play. Nah, I'm mistaken. Native American. During the time the railroads came through. Yeah, and you left the tribe because you couldn't get the girl you wanted, but you were a Native American. You fought within your tribe and then you jumped to another tribe and you kept fighting against the white man's coming. Would be a very frustrating time. Um, and so let me look at your original question again. Uh, with regards to your past life, this guy kind of ran off helter skelter and he did what he wanted to do, but he lived in a time where it would have been very hard for him to make roots. Uh, I don't know how you relate to Native Americans or to tribal behaviors, but that's part of what you came out of. And it's very supportive to go find your tribe and find the people you want to fight for. Okay. Oh, this one. I remember this one. I can do this with yes, no. And let's see. Did they have a relationship with their current partner in a past life? Yes. Okay. Did it end well? Yes, because you came back to support each other again. Let's see if I can pick up that life. How are they connected in a past life? Okay, they embraced each other. You were in love and harmony then, too. And you've been through a bunch of past lives together. Who were they to you? See if I can get that. Nope, got the same thing. Your partner was older than you, and you were the female in that relationship. So I'm going to take it they were male. But yeah, you guys, I've never had a stone roll twice into the same place, and it has twice gone into embrace. So yeah, you guys can't escape each other. I don't know if that's for good or evil, but I would like to know if any of my past lives was I living as a slave or on the run. Thank you so much. Okay. Was she enslaved? Yes, you were. Did you escape? Yes, but kind of, sort of, maybe not. You escaped and you were recaptured. Did she die? Did her in that past life was Joyce enslaved for the end of her life? Yes, because what I saw is you running away and going through a marsh of things, and you thought you were clear, and you weren't. Let's see what happened to you. What happened to Joyce in that life? You were a female, and that life has given you a lot of clarity. You embrace what happened there because you have to release it in order to move on in this life. So, and you have to learn you can run for your own freedom, and you're not going to get re-caught up in that web again. And then we've got one more person. Okay. From Melissa. Let's see. Let's see what is Melissa, male or female? Okay, you were male because it swings harder over the male. Um, what values is this bringing forward that's helping you in this life? Okay. It's brought clarity to you in this life, whatever the vibrations that come through from you, and it brings abundance. You've brought through a skill from that life that you use again in this life. That's why whenever you started to pick up on certain, oh, I want to go over and do that, it wasn't just a kind of little I want to go over and do that. It was painting, if it was art, it was writing, It's organizing people. It's a skill you brought forth from that life, and you used it very well. You are really tied to your soul family. They're extremely important to you, and things get better for you as you get older. So, all right, that's the 12 that were in the chat that wrote me in questions, and I hope it ended up being fine for them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly now. I had one start at the beginning. MEJ, past life readings. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Okay. I'm going to do a 7 card because it's actually the fastest way for me to get into the visions of what's going on. And you have tons and tons and tons of past lives. So, and from all eras, and I think all over the world. And my problem is sometimes I'm seeing a society and I'm not really sure where it is. If you've ever had a past life regression, when they get you under and they realize you're going into a place where you're seeing things, the first thing they ask you to do is to look at your feet, because the kind of shoe wear you have, or if you have shoes on at all, can tell them a great deal. And it's really fascinating process. I don't think it's necessary to be able to run your life, but it can be interesting. Okay. Well, you kind of had a grim past life here, lady. You were imprisoned, but you got out, but it didn't help you very much. You could never get much going in that life. I don't know how old you are, MEJ, but I think this is World War I or World War II. You got trapped in the war. So this time you made the decision to come into this life with a life path where you could choose things would be free for you. You wouldn't have the impediments of the stress of a war on you. And yet you have found sometimes getting in the right place to be a little hard. You sort of feel like you're going against the winds. And right now, if you can let go of that fear that that's going to happen to you again, then you can move forward and get the abundant life you want. Let's see. That says let go of old grievances. Don't build up borders. And you've got a 9 here, so you can will yourself out of this. So I think you've felt a heavy pressure from a past life before, and they're not, if you express who you are, you're not going to end up in jail. You got out anyway. I mean, 8 of Swords reversed is being let go. But this card tells you quit crying over spilt milk. 5 of Cups. Don't build unnecessary boundaries. Be open to things. And got a new moon on the 18th. Write up your intentions list and move forward. Now I get to go down. This is why having a partner helps me. Okay, we're going to do Wiki. If you get a real past life readings, when I do them for people, sometimes we see 2 or 3 past lives. Sometimes we see 1. Sometimes you'll have 1 past life, and so much will happen in that time that you have to take a couple of different lives to pull it all back together. Oh, okay, Lisa, I'll highlight you, but to do your question, I didn't. If it wasn't up by 1 o'clock, it takes me a while to transfer all those questions over. I have to copy them and then paste them over into StreamYard. So I'll answer your question when I get there. But Wiki's past life. Ooh, you got my card. I'm the Queen of Swords too. You got the same problem she had, but you're dealing with it a little differently. Okay. In that past life, you were in and out of feeling trapped and jailed. You felt like you couldn't go forward, but you came from a more solid base. You can't see it, but it's Four of Wands. So you felt happier coming out of that life, and you decided this time that you're going to be more independent. You're not going to rely on a lot of other people to take care of you. You came in as the Queen of Swords. You've decided to build your own life kind of by your own rules in a way. And your out card looks good. That means you manage to always meet the right people when you need to meet them. So you learned from this life. And one of the things you learned was having a good, happy, solid base can't spare you from neglect and injury and imprisonment or feeling trapped. So this time, you don't always take the easiest route with people to get along. You forge your own way. And those cards tell me that you've learned from that life. And let's see, I got Lise. Hi. Okay, I didn't catch your question. I'm going to ask if you about a past life for you, Lise, because I can't. Okay, so I'll do a past life. Try to see a past life for you, but like I said, if they're not posted, I mean, it just takes time for me to get this together. So let's see if you gave me down here what your past life would have been. Okay. Seeing a lot of the same cards. That tells me that that's sort of the vibe for the day. Okay, Lise. What we got is in your past life, there was a lot of trouble and turmoil around you, but it didn't really touch you. It did kind of keep you tied to one place, but actually, that wasn't a bad past life for you because the sun for me, right side up or upside down, means good things. And so you did not suffer from that. So you came into this life though, and you probably don't really sit and ponder on things. You don't lay your head in your heart, fight much. You make a decision. You came in this life to solidify your values. Once again, you're doing it in the outside world where they can see it. You haven't completed that mission yet though. So I don't know if that answers a question you asked me about. I'll go look it up, Lisa. I'll put it on my list. I'll be teaching a garden class on Saturday. And what I do is with questions I can't get answered or I don't get around to, I let my little happy gardeners read on you. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do this as yes, no. I know Laura. Okay. Is Laura's healing journey coming to an end? Have the past lives been released and let go? Yes. We're going to stop with that, Laura. That's a good answer. Okay. 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 I'm going to run for another 10 minutes and then I'm going to cut it off. Deb, if you have time, I would love to know more about my past life that's affecting my relationship. About affecting my relationship in this one. I think it's one, not on, especially with my sons. Okay. I think we're gonna just throw the stones in on this because you're asking about established soul family. This okay. What can you tell me about the interlocking energies of Deb, Kane, and her sons? A whole lot. Well, okay, you're getting a lot of clarity in this life. There was a lot of unresolved destiny, and left means things that can grow and build and change. Right means they're completed. So but there was a lot of loss within your group earlier on, and that's really affecting you right now because the citrine, which is the thing that brings in abundance and good luck, you're very tied to your soul family, but there's a whole lot of free will running around right now. So if you're not seeing eye to eye, it's because your souls are trying to figure a way to separate from each other, and they're doing it almost as a survivalist sort of thing. Let me see. Will Deb's things with her sons become resolved? Said yes. And is that yes for all of them? Because I've got a feeling there's one in there that's a real pain. Nope, it's all of them. So I hope that's true. Prince Charming's mom. And that's Prince Charming in the picture, by the way. I would like to know how my past life's affecting my root chakra. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask that question first out because that's what we may assume, but it may not be right. So is it past life energy that's affecting her root chakra? Yeah, okay. Was this in the path she chose in coming into this life? When it swings that way, it's kind of like sort of, yeah, but maybe I didn't think it would be this bad. It's not a no. A no would be this way, and it's not a yes. It's a kind of maybe. Let's see. And throw. Okay, Prince Charming's mom affected. What can you tell me about freedom in this life from that life? Oops. Well, one of your ancestor stones almost flew off the table. Didn't quite make it, which is good. It has a lot to do with how you approach your feminine energy and what happened to you in a past life that had to do with feminine energy. And your clarity is coming from understanding that past life and your ancestors. And some of the trauma came from something that happened when you were younger in this life. God, that's like the world's worst explanation. Let's try this. Let's see. What past life energy is affecting her? Okay. You were an orphan. You felt very abandoned, so you don't feel like the energy from that life came in wanting to plant really deep roots energy. And in that past life, you also took some vows, not holy vows, marriage vows, because you ended up with a spouse. So it's something about the energy of having been orphaned and having been left to drift in your own life, even though you married this person. I'm going to ask, was this happy? Is that marriage happy? Okay. It was an okay marriage. He always treated you like a child, which kind of infuriated you. It was a passage from a very difficult and dark time to a brighter time. And part of what you've carried in all these other lives is how to take something that's negative and polish it up and make it positive. But yes, there's something from this life. So if you can meditate on when you were an orphan, maybe you can build your way back out from that. And let's see. What past life knowledge would be helpful to me now? Okay. And I think this is going to be the last one I do. Like I said, Sue, I'll try to catch you on. I'll try to make a list of these and use them for next time. Or I'll let my little gardeners loose, and if I know how to reach you, I will send you the information. My little gardeners are very good. They've come up with some great stuff. And if you're in the little gardeners class, we actually do readings for each other in there too. So. Get out the waystones. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay. The past life that you've been sensing around you right now was not a very happy one. And you went retreated from the world. And I think we're in the Middle Ages and you went to a nunnery and you hid out. So this life, you've decided, no, I'm going to come in. I'm going to be part of the world. You've managed to escape having really, really things that could have been much more difficult go on around you. But your biggest problem has been learning to speak from your own heart, Kathleen. When you speak from your own heart, you can turn all this around. But what this person did is they didn't stay to fight, they retreated. And what you need to learn is to speak up for yourself, because if you do that, you can have her in abundance. But it's a matter of you not speaking up, speaking from your heart. I hope that's helpful. And because we're at 108 and okay, guys. Like I said, I know there's a lot of questions in there. I might do another past life show next Tuesday and start with the ones that are left in the chat. And I'll make a note of that if I'm going to do that. I always post the night before on the community page to let people know what I'm up to. It's also to remind me what I'm up to. But I'm back doing 6-month readings now for people. So I have to make time during my week to do that. And I've got some grids that I'm in the process of finishing. And I had one that went astray. The post office squashed it, so I had to build another one. So this time I sent it by FedEx into Canada, and FedEx was going to charge the person for stuff they shouldn't have been charged for. So that grid's on the way back to me, and I have to figure out how to get it into Canada. I was seriously threatening to go. Dorothy Morgan lives in New Hampshire, the astrologer. She has a kayak. I was threatening to go borrow her kayak and paddle up the East Coast. I'm so frustrated with this. But anyway, that's not your business. That's my business. But I will, for those of you who posted questions today, hopefully I will be able to, get them up for you. And that's not what I want to do. And this is my website, my email. And if you want to, the best part of that is, I didn't do it right again. Anyway, crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com if you want more information, or if you want to ask me a question about some of this, I will answer back short answers to those. And like I said, I will try to pass on to my garden class, which will be this Saturday. And I haven't gotten the note. I don't think I sent the notice out on that yet. I will look and see, but we'll be on at 3. And I look forward to doing that with those folks. And if I can, I'll take some of your past life questions and see how they work out in the garden, in the big green garden, the big one we use. And other than that, it is now 1:10, and I mean, we've been on for an hour and 10. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you coming back and visiting with me again. And I will see you next week. Thank you. Evelyn Hartman's a new member. Yay. And just, we're doing our best. I'll talk to you later. Bye.